What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the MLB Swing for the Fences show. I'm your host, Mangone. I'm here with Run Pure Sports. I'm here with DC. I'm here with Big T. We'll kick it off with Draft Cheat first. How's it going over there, man? It's been a good little weekend for you, and nice little way to start out the week, getting you on the show here with Big T again.
Yeah, absolutely. Another day, not canceled by Twitter quite yet. So, hey, it's a good day to be DC as always.
Listen, if DC hasn't been canceled on Twitter yet, I think we're in the clear. I mean, I don't know.
You just
stay tuned, but
you gotta avoid going to horny jail, and you're good, man. That's the only thing you got to be careful of.
I do miss the days of you being able to be an imposter of other Twitter accounts more. You really have to watch that.
Me too, man. Yeah.
Those are the good days. Even the Booger McFarland stuff was great. It's great because Booger doesn't have a Twitter, right? So you can't really get in trouble for that. That's why.
He does. He's got a Twitter.
Oh, does he? I didn't know he had one.
But Booger's a good-natured fellow. He's not going to try to get me canceled. He's good with it.
Fair enough. We'll head on over to Big T. He's joined us again. I don't think you guys got the amount of likes last time to get him to come back, but he's back to help you guys out here. He's going to give you the free winners in the MLB streets. Big T, how's it going over there, man?
It's good to be back on with you guys. It's been a minute since I've been on with Mangone, and we got DC last week. Got the shipper Friday after we got the good mojo going. Sunday, I think it was, Saturday or Sunday, whatever it was, gets another even bigger shipper. DC's rolling it. I knew he was going to, too, because baseball just started out picking all the winning pitchers. It's what we do. We get the good mojo. I mean, what was the show, Mangone? What was our basketball show? We always got the good mojo. Tuesdays?
Yeah, Tuesday show.
So now, the Tuesdays are baseball now with DC. We're getting them in the mix with the good mojo. We're going to ship again tonight with a nice, what is it, freaking 13 games or something on DK?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good amount of games. And just to mention, it's kind of a different slate. You have FanDuel locks at 7:05. You got DraftKings locks at 6:30. And then, of course, we got the basketball show coming up after us. That's at 7:30. So like that we have all the lock times separate. We're going to talk about pitchers, and then we'll go game by game from there just because it can be a little confusing from each site because there's some games that are off of the slate. But
is this our boy Gary in the chat, by the way, man? He says, how's the Cincy weather? Gary, does it look like I'm in fucking Cincinnati?
First of all, Gary, if you're asking about the Cincinnati weather for Big T, that's a problem. Do you live under a rock or something? DC, we all know Tony's on the road. What's Gary doing over there? Is he just so embedded in Discord he doesn't watch?
Come on, Gary.
Also, if he's watching the show, he clearly has access to the internet, which means he's got the google.com. He can look it up himself. Come on, Gary, get with the program.
Yeah, but DC, we like our DFS touts not only to be, great at, giving out like plays, right? We like to be able to know the weather. We like the political takes. We like everything from them, right? We want you to be well versed. So Big T has to be a weatherman as well, but he's in your streets, right? So we got the double report on the Coors Field tonight. So what is the weather report there? Do you guys have a good report for us?
It's been like bright and sunny and nice, cold, but like other than that, nice. But I think it's just going to be like 35 to 40 degrees, but I think they're going to play no problem. There's no like wind. It's a nice day. It's just cold out.
Yeah, not DC. Big T, how's your time been in Denver there? You enjoying yourself?
Yeah, besides the night I got screened by DC when I called him, it's been a pretty good trip so far. So if he ever answers my call to go hang out, it's going to be very fulfilling. I'm in the mountains right now. The workbench behind me. It's been a good trip, but I'm heading back down tomorrow to see DC.
Oh,
where in the mountains are you? Where are you, Big T?
We're up in Avon.
Okay.
Nice. You got the workbench. Is this like a romantic mountain weekend getaway right now, Tony?
That right there behind me is the site of an active bench. I'll tell you that much.
There you go. And with the site of the active bench, that means there's some active winners coming your way over at Run Pure Sports. Guys, if you could, please hit that like, hit that subscribe on the video. Helps us out a ton. Helps to be able to give you these free YouTube shows. Also want to mention all the stuff that we have over at Run Pure Sports right now. Tons of awesome stuff for you guys. First off, we have our partnership with SuperDraft. It's been absolutely awesome. They have so many great stuff. It's a site where you can play without a salary cap, right? And, you play NBA and you can plug in the core plays that we have over there, but you can also plug in any of the plays we talk about here because in baseball, like salary doesn't even matter, right? Big T, you talk about that a lot. It's all about correlation and construction. So with it being the multiplier format, you don't have to worry about a salary cap that much. Am I right?
Yeah, baseball in general, even more so there, but I'm sure DC can say the same thing. But salary outside of slates where like it's all aces and you want to get as much pitching as you can, then maybe salary matters a little bit more. But the slates where you got not a ton of pitching up top, I mean, salary literally doesn't matter at all. It's construction over salary for me almost every time in baseball.
Yeah, no, that definitely is important. So head on over to Super Draft, use the code RunPure. You get a nice little deposit bonus, I believe up to $100. So head on over, use that code, get in on the action over at Super Draft. I also want to mention a little bit about the members never winning, right? That was not the case on Sunday, DC. Reason why I bring it up is I'm about to talk to you about that a little bit. We had a member the other day in hockey actually win 10K, which I had some success in hockey. So you do love to see that. He took down first in the blue line, but people say that the members never have success, right, DC? But we definitely saw that on Sunday with your core plays.
Yeah, absolutely. And I don't actually see people saying that, but we say that people say that, so that's good enough. So yeah, I was happy to see a bunch of winners on Sunday. I mean, it's been a really strong season, not just Sunday, but all year long. Great start to baseball year. It's not going to be every night. We're not claiming that we always are going to win, always going to have the correct core plays, but I think more often than not, we're delivering the good info. We're certainly always be playing the guys that we recommend ourselves.
DC's too mild anyway. Stop it, DC. You give all the winners pitching wise. There's no one better giving winners in baseball than DC. He's just trying to be
hothead weasel. I don't want this DC.
Yeah, we want the weasel. Come on.
All right, the weasel. I'll bring him out. The weasel will come out. Yeah.
Get him out here. Give us them winners. That's what we're looking for, DC. Listen, pitching's not easy today, so I'm looking for that gem at the pitcher position. I'm looking to work through it. I got made fun of. I was talking to my buddy Dean. He goes, "Oh, you didn't play Musgrove yesterday." And I was like, "I played Bundy and still won. Like, I don't care. Like, we're giving out winners. It doesn't matter. I cashed in GPPs. I cashed in the head-to-heads and everything. And I definitely need some help with pitching today, DC. So we'll definitely dive into that and discuss it. Tons of awesome content, though, over here at Run Pure Sports. Like I said, DC crushed the core plays on Sunday. Uncle T was on the playbook. We had Steve giving out core plays. We had everyone out there giving you all the best content.
We had 100K hit that day, right? I seen someone thank DC and Uncle T for the good plays.
Yeah, the guy that won the 100K, we had first, a tie for second in that same turn, like the big, $15 whatever it was, and then like fifth, like for the top five, something like that.
Love to see it.
You do.
Yep, definitely things you love to see, and we're definitely looking to get after it here on this slate and help you guys out. Like I said, I really want to talk about the pitching here because this is a difficult pitching slate. Again, 6:30 lock on DraftKings where we'll have some different pitchers, and then FanDuel, it'll be a little different. Let's dive in and talk about it, though. And first up, I wanted to go to DC. And the reason why I want to go to you is, of course, you get all those pitchers right, but what are we doing with Mr. Corbin Burnes? He's obviously a really talented pitcher. I believe I even saw you say in a tweet, like Woodruff and Burnes are like the best 1-2 punch in the league right now. And like, sure, Corbin Burnes makes sense today, but what do you do with him against the Padres? That's the problem, right? I would love to play Corbin Burnes, but am I worried about the matchup? Is it not worth the salary? Should I go down to some other options? Break it all down for me, DC.
Yeah, I think I tweeted that just after like their first starts. Was a big believer in Corbin Burnes last year and then coming into this season. I've got bets on him to win the Cy Young, all that stuff. Dude's just been fantastic. 30 strikeouts to no walks so far. Like you mentioned, Mangone, obviously the matchup is tough, right, against the Padres. But what I mentioned yesterday was that like Woodruff and Burnes, I think, is even more talented. They have the stuff. They're like when you get this elite level of pitcher, sometimes the matchup can almost not matter. So of course you're a little bit concerned about it, but there's no question Burnes, if he's on his game, which he hasn't gone like a single batter without being on his game all year long, there's no question he can mow these guys down. The biggest problem for me paying up for him is you're a little bit worried about the workload if they're going to let him go super deep into the game. I mean, he's been like almost flawless through 3 starts. And they've still only let him throw 87, 86, 81 pitches. So what might happen if he runs into any trouble at all, right? Like, could he get out of there way too early? So I'm a little bit concerned about that. And then that was enough of a concern that I was kind of early, talking on the podcast that I didn't think I would end up there. But there's some really, really good value bats that I like that, like, I really like the Orioles stack, and it's super cheap. And you can fit their whole stack and pay up for Burns if you want. So because of that, I think I will play some of him. I expect him to pitch well, like you mentioned. It is a tough matchup, but he is just so good that I'm not sure it'll matter how tough the matchup is.
Yeah, Big T, I'll go over to you because you talk about sometimes paying up for these like big boy pitchers, and it's not a slate where I'm loving the bats as much, right? There's some bats I want to get to, but there's like it's Coors Field, and I don't want to jam in Coors, right? It's not one of those days where I'm just slamming them all into my lineup. So, Big T, what are you doing with Corbin Burns here at the top in this tough matchup?
Yeah, I mean, with 13 games too, there's going to be tons of cheap bats. And just to start the year, I mean, the offenses just haven't been hitting like the pitching's way ahead of the hitters so far. Burns only 80 pitches, but man, he has been just like DC said before the first start, maybe the best pitcher in baseball. Just amazing. In the 30s, all 3 games fantasy point wise. I'm not that worried about the pitch count, honestly. If he gives me 85 pitches of dominant pitching, then he's still going to crush. He's still going to have a good chance to be on the winner. So for me, I still really like him. Again, there's 13 games. There's going to be tons of cheap bats we can find to make it work. And I mean, I think the dilemma of the slate for me, not to flip it completely, but Castillo at 6,600, who hasn't looked great. I mean, there's going to be a lot of people play those two guys. I want to hear DC's thoughts on Castillo because, man, I going into the day, I hadn't looked at the pricing. I wanted to fade him because he hasn't looked great. But, man, 6,600 is tough sledding to fade.
Yeah, DC, what are you doing with Castillo? Because he's one of those guys, like models are obviously going to love him. I mean, it's too cheap for the strikeout upside he has. And I look at K props. I expect him to have a good K rate here in this spot as well. So, of course, he's going up against an offense, though, that, there could be some trouble. So what are you doing with Castillo in this?
I mean, what's his K rate at? 6.5, 7, something like that, I would guess, at least.
Yeah, I could pull up
6.5.
Yeah,
6.5.
I haven't looked, but yeah, that makes sense.
I see 5.5 on the over juiced, like heavy, and then sometimes you'll see the 6.5 and other stuff. So it just depends.
So, yeah, obviously he hasn't been that great, but most of that was kind of the first start, right? I think the first start is the thing that's holding his salary down because he got negative 15 DraftKings points. That was a game opening day when it was like 30, 40 degrees across the East Coast and Midwest, and I just think he couldn't, he just couldn't handle it. Whatever, but for me, that's basically a complete pass. His velocity still hasn't returned to what it was last year. So obviously, like Big T mentioned, whether or not you play Castillo is kind of like the first question I would say on this slate because he should be, I don't know, at least a 9K pitcher. So you're getting like a $2,400 discount. I think he's fine. I don't think he's hurt or anything. I think he's got like the 3rd or 4th highest strikeout rate in Major League Baseball over the last couple of years. I expect that to continue. So I don't think he's quite to the level he was last year, but he's not far off. He should pitch well. And the matchup's good too, right? Against Arizona, like this is not a very good offense. So what do we expect his ownership to come in at the podcast? I guess at least 40%. In cash games, I think you'll see 70% higher, maybe. I don't know. There's 26 pitchers to choose from, and he's not flawless, like he could not easily, but he could get you sub 10 fantasy points at that point. Probably a lot of teams are going down with him. Not that you couldn't cash with that, obviously. So I wish I could say something stronger, like, oh, he's an easy fade, but it's just not the case. I'll probably have some exposure to him, but you don't need him, right? There's plenty of value bats like Big T mentioned. So you're not giving up that much by paying up higher at pitching and fading Castillo. But obviously he's just way mispriced. There's just no question about it.
The most annoying part for me, this is kind of why I like baseball though, because I don't mind jamming in high-owned pitchers at times because I can always find low-owned hitters to make it even. I mean, his projection, just from looking around the industry, is just as high as every other pitcher, and he's 6,600.
Yeah, it should be. Yep.
It's tough. I mean, it's tough sledding for sure. And there's a bunch of pitchers, though, like DC said, 13 games. There's pivots out there, but, man, it's a tough fade, I'll be honest.
Yeah. So I would say looking at this slate, there is a bunch of different pitchers that we can discuss. Obviously, Castillo and Burns, 2 of the higher owned ones. There's other options you can look at. I I guess another thing we should discuss a little bit is Chris Paddock. Like on FanDuel, he's 6.9K, right? Mm-hmm. And on DK, he's 10.0. How do we handle that, DC? Because he's a guy, he hasn't looked right, but he's going up against an offense, right, that is struggling a ton. And you can make a case. I know the win doesn't matter a ton, right? But you could make the argument, hey, like if you go to a Paddock instead of like a Burns, you get a little bit of leverage there on some of that spot. So how are you handling a guy like a Paddock on FanDuel where he's severely underpriced?
Yeah, not even in question for me paying that price for him on DraftKings. I just don't think he's very good. I know he was like I think in 2019 he was pretty damn good for a while and was kind of a hot prospect coming up. He was bad last year. He only has 2 pitches. The league has figured him out. He's just all fastball changeup. He won't throw his breaking balls at all. And, even against a bad team like Milwaukee, I don't have a lot of faith in Chris Paddock right now, to be honest. He's had about the easiest schedule you can possibly have. Arizona, Texas, and Pittsburgh through 3 games. And he's averaging 10 DraftKings points per game. You know what I mean? It's like, I just don't think he's good, just legitimately. Not that he's just a fade today. He's going to be a fade almost every slate for me. So listen, if you want to pay the $6,900 on FanDuel for him, fine. I still wouldn't. But on DraftKings, he's just not even in play at all.
How would you handle that, DC, with Paddock here? I think I'm staying away, but I understand the price tag if you want to jam in some bats. But FanDuel, it's kind of easy to do that at times.
Yeah. What do you think?
BigT, my bad.
Yeah.
No, I agree. There's no way I'm playing him. If anything, I mean, not tonight because I don't like the spot, but I'm going to stack against him more than I'm going to play him. I mean, he's just not good. I agree completely with DC. He's in that price range. I mean, it should almost be flipped. This is just my opinion, but it should be flipped with Castillo.
No question. Castillo has a higher projection than Paddock tonight. No question.
I agree. I mean, I can't play him, and it's pretty simple cut for me. Like, I don't even really consider it.
All right. Yeah. I mean, that's obviously great points you brought up. Cause like you can stack against him too. Cause on FanDuel, he's going to have some ownership, right?
What's his price on FanDuel? Cause I hate him there too.
He's 6'9". That's why I kind of mentioned it, right? It's a cheap price tag for him over there. It's a huge difference. So that's why it's like people are going to see that. And I mean, Paddock currently has the most ownership, I think, on FanDuel. So,
well, I need to play more on FanDuel then. Because, he sucks. Like in FanDuel, there's so many hitters. Like you can play whoever you want, even playing stud pitchers. How much is Castillo on FanDuel?
Castillo isn't on it. Again, that's like the
it's one of the I got you.
Yeah.
I think there 5 games that aren't on the FanDuel slate, I think.
Yeah, I think it's that. It would be, I'd say,
is Burns on FanDuel?
Burns is on FanDuel, yeah, because they're in the same game. So it's Burns, like FanDuel guys are like Burns, I'd say Zach Wheeler at 9.4. You can make it's a tough FanDuel slate for pitching.
How much is Burns on FanDuel? What'd you say?
He's 10.5.
Okay.
So you can
I mean, you can easily make that work on FanDuel though. Easily.
Yeah. It's not like a 12K like a Max Scherzer, but hey, like I said, I'm just staring at what some of the projections are saying. So it's a bit confusing to me.
I think we can obviously move on from Castillo. I just the last point, like there's no doubt about it that he is the highest projected point per dollar pitcher on DraftKings. Like get that out of the way, right? And we can kind of move on from it. But I think just that kind of needs to be put out there. It doesn't mean you have to play him because the ownership is going to be so high, but he is. And it is a mispricing. There's not like DK knows something. No, they don't. He's mispriced.
Yeah. So what about some of these middle of the road pitchers, right? Because I mean, there's Zach Wheeler at the top. He's a guy you could spend on against the Giants, but it's not the greatest spot in the world. You can make arguments for him. Even on FanDuel too, you can make an argument for him. But there's some mid-tier guys that like you can make arguments for. Like Steve Boyd's making an argument for Taijuan Walker in the chat, which like I don't hate it. I'm not in love with it. It's the cold weather makes some sense. Sean Manaea could have some success, but there's a couple righties in that lineup that's scary, but we know the upside he can have. The Yankees have not been the best. Charlie Morton is definitely a decent pitcher. Zach Gallen could obviously, spin a nice game. So there are guys here, DC. So kind of dive through this mud here and figure out which guys are you targeting here in the meantime.
Yeah, I think Taijuan Walker, you can make a case for him. It's going to be cold, wind blowing in Wrigley. Walker's looked good so far in a Mets uniform. The whole Mets pitching staff has looked good. And, the Cubs bats have been pretty dead so far. It's maybe one of the best pitching environments on the slate. Generally, most of the Midwest games are kind of cold and windy. And, those are kind of taking bats off the slate a little bit for me. Mostly it's pretty warm out on the East Coast. And then obviously it's fine out on the West Coast too. So Walker's fine. The guy that I'm kind of growing on me a little bit is Charlie Morton, who I think is going to have very, very low ownership. going into New York. If you look back at 2019, when Charlie Morton, he was like a top 10 pitcher, top 10 DFS pitcher in baseball. Last year, he did not have his velocity to start the year, but he did finish super strong. He got it back in the playoffs. This year, it's all the way back to what it was in 2019 when he was a dominant pitcher. And this Yankees lineup, listen, of course there's danger, right? Like Giancarlo and Judge and all these dudes, they can take you deep. Like it could happen. It's not a guarantee, but Charlie Morton's got that big sweeping breaking ball that you love to have against Judge and Stanton and Torres. You look at this lineup, so many strikeouts to be had for a pitcher that pitches like Morton does. I don't know what the total is here, but I'm guessing it's 4+ probably Yankees. So people aren't going to go to, like the biggest predictor of pitching ownership is just pitching pitchers against teams that have low team totals. And I'm sure the Yankees is fairly high because the ballpark obviously is hitter friendly and these guys do have power, but man, there's no question in my mind, Morton could easily lead this slate in fantasy points. Got up to, I think 94 pitches. So he's going to have a full workload and he'll need to be on his game, but if he is, he could strike out Judge, Stanton, and Sanchez combined 6 or 7 times. Like he's got that type of stuff. So Charlie Morton, a guy that I'm going to have exposure to for sure.
Yeah, just if you look at Charlie Morton again, like the spot, it seems like it could be interesting, but at the same time, the weather could be a concern, right? It's a little warmer there, better ballpark too. So a lot of different factors, but he has the stuff. And we always judge ballparks and we talk about, the weather, all this and that, but like sometimes it doesn't matter when a pitcher's on DC, right? Like someone like Morton.
Well, the ball's going to be flying in Yankee Stadium and it's obviously a hitter's park. So he's going to have to strike these guys out, but I'm just saying, that's perfect for him. He's a strikeout pitcher against a strikeout lineup. So it's not a safe play, but it is a high upside play. And it is a play that I think will be very, very low owned. I really haven't seen any chatter about Charlie Morton around the industry today. And, you got Tommy G back in these streets. So he's probably recommending those Yankee stacks everywhere. So we got that going for us. Yeah. Give me some Charlie Morton.
Yeah, I don't know if it's 420 day. I don't know if that helps Tommy G narrative a little bit too. So I'm not sure exactly, but anything to get the Tommy G narrative going is always a good time. Big T, who are your mid-tier pitchers that you're looking at here? Because there's a lot of different options. I think Sean Manaea is interesting. He's obviously DC mentioned it. Like when you look at low run totals, I mean 3.1 here for the Twins, right? What are you doing here with a guy like Manaea and some of these other mid-tier options?
Yeah, I don't think I'll play Manaea on this slate. There's just too many pitchers I like. I like the Morton call though. The Yankees have lost at the plate. I mean, I've stacked them almost every day too, at least one team, and they haven't looked good at all. So I like the Morton call a lot. I like Taijuan Walker definitely, probably more than you guys do. It's freaking cold weather there and wind blowing in like DC said. He's looked good too. I think 20 points both games.
Yeah, I like the Walker call for sure.
I like him. I mean, and then Castillo. I'm really not going to play that many pitchers. The one guy I want to ask about is Ohtani. Like, he looked good the one game. I think the only game I seen him pitch was that Sunday night game. Has he even pitched again?
He pitched one more game. He was awful. He was dealing with the blister.
God, not the blister again.
So he's going to be limited to 75 pitches.
Okay.
Looks like
we're not going to play him then.
Nah, he's so inefficient anyway. Like even when he's good, it's like 20 pitch innings every time. So it's going to be really hard for him to get to 5 innings even.
Okay. So I'll cross him. I mean, I'm really not going to play that many pitchers. I already got it narrowed down to like 5. It looks like Burns and Castillo, obviously Walker, Morton, and then Gallen and Wheeler, I guess would be the other two. So one thing we didn't talk about that I want to get, because you guys follow this too, and I'm not too piped in, but the weather in Cincy, is it a concern for these two guys, Gallen and Castillo? It looks kind of crappy there.
I mean, if you're talking for like a postponement risk, is that the concern?
Well, I mean, or just the delay that gets these guys out of the game.
I mean, I haven't looked at the actual radar, but I'm seeing it's not supposed to rain till like 9 p.m., 3 hours after the game starts. So I'll be sure to take a look, but right now I haven't really been thinking it's going to be a problem for the pitchers.
Because that could be another spot where I'm comfortable playing both those guys, even in the same team. Gallen's always been a stud. Yeah. Cincinnati definitely has the ability to strike out at times. I'm okay going with both those guys, so I like him as well.
Yeah, but chat's also mentioning the 75 pitch count for Ohtani, and also we can ask Uncle T for that weather, right? I mean, in Cincinnati, it's right down the street.
Let's go, Uncle T.
Uncle T, when you do the playbook at 5:30, Uncle T said it would be up around then. He was telling me, put that weather report in there as well. We need to get that from you, so we can get that news and decide what to do with the pitchers here.
Uncle T literally works like 5 minutes from the stadium, so he needs to get us an accurate weather report.
We need like a Periscope from Uncle T. He's got the good commentary. I saw it in your matchup with
oh God, don't bring the bad mojo in.
No, DC. Oh man, that's
not bad mojo. It's all in good fun.
I mean, it was a rough day.
Yeah, it's okay. We'll block out that, just like Colin Kaepernick did in the commercial. Put the Bose headphones on, block out that noise. I don't want that. No, none of that bad mojo. All the good mojo, all the good winners coming our way.
We've got a Colin Kaepernick and a Tommy G reference so far. Let's see
man, Goat's on fire. He's getting it all going.
I don't. When you say the name Tommy G, you don't know who pops in, right? You don't know who's watching. So got to get all the plugs in I can. What about Coors? Is there any reason people are not talking about Coors today, right, DC? Like, should we take the pitchers there? Probably not. Who are some of the cheaper guys that we could go to on this slate? Or besides Luis Castillo, is there anyone else, or you just plug him in?
Yeah, I got a couple more cheap guys for us. So yesterday was that Tampa Bay and KC game was just like a pitcher's duel between Duffy and Fleming. We were on Duffy, who was pretty awesome, gave up only just a couple unearned runs, and I think it struck out 8 or 9 guys. And then even on the other side, Fleming was really good. I didn't necessarily see that one coming, but kind of the same weather in KC. And that's a big ballpark. And when it's cold and you got some wind blowing in, it's so hard to get much offense going. So I see another low scoring game in Kansas City. I was a little bit on Rich Hill in his last start against Texas. He was bad. But his stuff is there. He's not going to stay healthy for long, but I do really believe.
This is good mojo, DC. This is my boy. This is what I wanted to hear.
Yeah. So Rich Hill, like if you look at what he did back with the Dodgers, like he was really, really good. I think he's basically that pitcher right now. Can't promise he's always going to deliver, but I think he's totally capable of a big start here. And same game, cheapest pitcher on the board, Brad Keller. We've used the cheapest pitcher on the board in my core plays several times this year. It's almost always come through. Thank you, Kyle Gibson. But yeah, Keller, I think he's pretty good. Again, he had that horrible opening day start, but he pounds the zone with strikes. I've been picking on Tampa Bay's offense all year long. They're just not doing much. Great, pitching environment here. And, he'll give us, I think he can give us, 6 or 7 strong. I think he's fully capable of that. I like guys that are going to throw a bunch of strikes in an environment where it's going to be tough to do damage. So, yeah, Brad Keller, 5,400. The only problem is you don't really need the savings, right, with hitting, but I don't think most people will go all the way down there. So I'll have Brad Keller for sure. Rich Hill, same game. You can use those 2 guys in the same game theory if you want. And then one last guy, Michael Fulmer. I think if you look back in his career, 2017, 2018, he was a pretty good pitcher. I think he's basically back as well after missing a couple of years due to injury. We've seen the pitch count steadily climb for him, first outing 14 pitches, but after that 40, 68, 78, should be able to approach 90 here. Actually, my biggest problem with Fulmer is I actually am I have more respect for the Pirates offense than most people do. They've been coming through for me, guys like Moran and Brian Reynolds and Polanco. So, if I thought the Pirates offense is as bad as what the public thinks, I would be playing Michael Fulmer here.
All right, Big T, I'll go back to you. You were liking the Rich Hill call there. So I played Rich Hill last time and it didn't work out. I don't know if he has pitch count issues still, or if that was just all Dave Roberts, but I think Rich Hill does make some sense, but part of me feels like it's not the right slate. But what are you looking at here, Big T?
No, I got excited because I loved him. I think he was against Texas, right? Where I love lefties against Texas.
Yep.
He just let us down, but I mean, he's gone. He's never going to go 110 pitches or something. As long as he gets us in the 80s, I love it. The pitching weather, and I like Keller too. I like that call, even cheap. But the issue is, as you guys both said, where do we spend? I mean, do we want to go to Coors in 30-degree weather?
No.
I mean, I really don't either. And there's just nowhere to spend. I mean, I'm looking at some of the top stacks. I mean, I don't mind it. If you can find it could be a day too where you play like 2 studs on one team, 2 studs on another team, spread it around maybe and do something like that. But as far as a full stack with it, I don't think it works.
Well, I mean,
Go
Yeah,
ahead.
so you can't, right? I've tried to build some lineups. If you go two cheap pitchers, there's not really going to be a stack that you like that you can use all the salary. Again, of course you can leave the salary if you want, but it's not, you don't want to leave too much. That's not the ideal way to build. So like you said, Big T, I mean, on Sunday when, we won the six figures and I had a good day, people were like making fun of me on Twitter because I only had the most I had was two hitters from one team, and it was all just one-offs. The whole lineup was. I mean, it seems like a more fun way to win to me, but you could use that today, right? Like there are places to spend. You could play Mike Trout, Juan Soto, and Bryce Harper in the outfield. You know what I mean? Like that works. If they'll hit 2 home runs, it doesn't matter if they're on the same team or not. So,
and no one's going to have it either. So when they all hit 2 home runs, you're going to win a lot of money.
I mean, that's honestly my favorite way to build teams, and I'll be going that route in some of my teams tonight.
Well, people made fun of JSU when he won. He won with some goofy stack, right? That wasn't the correct way to build. But here's the thing: people understand. It's cold, right? So you're not seeing as many home runs hit, and you're not seeing the correlation of all that hit because it's harder to hit the ball, right? The other thing too is sometimes you're on slates and positions matter, and you look. And yesterday at shortstop, right? I had 2 shortstops I liked. It was Corey Seager or Paul DeJong, and that was it. That's all I really wanted to mess with. You could make arguments for on DraftKings, what's his name, Luis for the Angels if you wanted to save some money, but that was really it. And sometimes the position is just so weak, you don't have to stack it up. You don't just have to stack to stack. And I think sometimes we just get a little carried away with it when it's not necessary, and you can kind of cap your upside at times. So that's
for sure. So Baltimore is my favorite stack, but I mean, and you could say there's nowhere to spend. Well, maybe there's no stacks to spend on, but listen, Mike Trout's still better than Anthony Santander. You know what I mean? Even if you love Baltimore, that's still a giant upgrade there. So if you feel like I think Keller, Keller's not going to be the top scoring pitcher on the slate. He just doesn't have that kind of strikeout upside, but he can get you 20 fantasy points for sure. And man, you get every hitter at every position that you want, basically is how I'm looking at literally who do I think is the best hitter at this position? And I can build an entire lineup with all of my favorite hitters. If I take Fulmer and Keller, or even Castillo and Keller, if you're playing Keller and doing that way, I think you can go 2 cheap pitchers if you want to. So yeah, there's a lot of different ways to go, but I wouldn't be afraid to, not stack. I think some people never build lineups that aren't a full stack, which seems a little silly to me because this slate kind of dictates that you can go that way if you want to.
All right, DC, give me your final rundown on pitchers. Give me your top 3 guys, and then go to Big T.
Yeah, I mean, Castillo, the number 1 point per dollar guy, he's going to be super high owned. There's no doubt that he's going to have massive ownership. Corbin Burns, only concern is the pitch count. Actually, matchup's tough too, but he is my highest projected pitcher. If you want to go cheap, I like Keller, Rich Hill, and Michael Fulmer to some extent. And then kind of my favorite contrarian pitcher, who I think will be under 10% owned, is Charlie Morton. I think he's not safe, but we're talking GPPs here. I think he's got a good chance to strike out 10 plus Yankees. I mean, not a good chance, but a realistic chance. And I don't think people are going to play him. So Charlie Morton, probably my favorite kind of GPP leverage guy.
All right. I'm playing more on FanDuel today, I think. So I'm going to give you my top 4 there. I like Burns, Wheeler. Obviously, those 2 are strong for me. And then if I go a little cheaper, right, I think Taijuan Walker is someone I like, obviously targeting that weather. I don't love the Cubs offense. And I also don't mind, we didn't talk about him a lot, but Eduardo Rodriguez, mainly because he's got strikeout upside. I know he can have his struggles, and I'm scared of some of the righties, but he's a guy that struggles with walks, and the Blue Jays don't walk as much as you'd think. So I think that can help his upside a little bit. It's more of a tournament play. Obviously, it can blow up, but we know what he can do. Big T, I'll go to you. Give me your pitchers here for us.
Just a few notes. Eduardo's just he's not going to go deep enough for me, though. It still seems like his arm's bothering him just a little bit. I could be totally wrong. That's just straight eyeball test to me, but
yeah, I'll look at his pitch stuff, his pitch count stuff real quick, but keep going.
And also that Detroit game, I'm almost positive is going to get postponed. The weather looks terrible there. So that might take that's the only game that looks just terrible. So that might get Fulmer.
Oh yeah, you're right.
Out of play. But as far as pitchers, I mean, I'm happy because DC's the man with these pitchers. No one's better than him. I'm kind of arm in arm with him for most of these. Castillo and Burns are obviously the top 2, and then Taijuan Walker, and then the cheap guys, Keller, Rich Hill, And yeah, just those two, I guess. I mean, looking at my list, I'm pretty much arm in arm with him.
Yeah, that sounds good. Bobby Gomes in chat saying Eduardo's going to get hammered today. I mean, he could, Bobby, but like that's what Eduardo is. He's a first or last kind of guy. So that's the reason I mentioned it.
Eduardo's arm looks bothered. Like I don't know. You guys haven't seen that? He doesn't look right to me.
Let's ask DC because I did want to ask you a little about him because I like to target Eduardo when he's in spots where like the walks could maybe not be a problem, right? Or like if he has like an extreme pitcher's umpire, those things are always intriguing to me. So, well, what would you do with him?
I'm not going there. He has pitched well so far. He missed all of 2020 with the COVID complication. And then I'm not picking on this Blue Jays lineup right now. I mean, Vladimir Guerrero, Bo Bichette have been absolutely locked in. You could argue Fenway Park, good weather. You could argue it's the best hitting conditions on the entire slate. So I actually didn't do like much of a deep dive on Eduardo because he's just not on my radar at all against this Toronto team in a tough pitching slate. But yeah, he does obviously have, from time to time, some really good starts. So I kind of get it. I just won't be for me on the slate.
Yep. And we got our boy Stevie Boyton in the chat. He says the Detroit game just got banged. So
did it get postponed right there? That's good mojo. Right as we bring it up, it gets postponed.
That's what we wanted to see. And he used the banged reference, which I still don't get that one, but it's a good
I don't understand the banged reference either. Like I'm usually in the lingo too, but I don't understand the bang.
No, I don't get
bang means different things,
I've never even heard of it, so I don't know what I'm missing.
It has a completely different meaning to me. I mean, I use it in a different term. I'll tell you that much.
Tilt your camera down again so we know what we're talking about.
All right, well, we're going to move on to the other games here. We're going to do game by game the rest of the way, talk about these stacks. Again, it's a little split up, but let's kick it off here with the Twins and the Oakland A's. DC, I'll go over to you first to start it off. This doesn't seem like a game we really want to target much hitting. Is this a full fade here?
I would actually be on some of these Twins bats if it wasn't a 7-inning game. Kind of rough playing hitters when you get 2 innings chopped off your game just to start the slate. I don't really get the Manaea love. A lot of dangerous right-handed bats in this Twins lineup. I mean, Garver, Cruz, Buxton, Donaldson. So I kind of like these guys. I just have a hard time pulling the trigger when you're only getting 7 innings out of them.
Yeah. How about you, Big T? Probably a spot you're just going to stay away from, I'm assuming.
Yep. I mean, 13 game slate. I don't want to give up 2 or 3 at bats. I mean, 2 or 3 innings, I should say. I agree. Yeah, it's tough to go there, and both pitchers are good enough. I mean, we just don't need to go here on the 13 game slate.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's go over to the Yankees and the Braves, and this is definitely an interesting game because I think you can attack tying here with a guy like a free money Freddie, right? Big T, I'll go to you first because you love some Freddie Freeman. He is a bit pricey, but he's 5.5K. A lefty in this park in the Yankee Stadium is a good thing. And you got Adrianza at the top of the lineup for 2K, right? Batting at a position like second base where I don't love typically rostering the second base position. And that's a nice little combo that you can put together. It could have some ownership, but hey, the Braves are in a pretty good spot, I think, Big T.
Yeah, DC laid out the formula too. If we play a couple cheap pitchers, you can play guys like Freddie by himself.
That's what I'm saying, man. You can play Freddie and Trout and Soto, and you're like, all right.
Yeah. It looks good because
I'll take my chances.
Yeah, I mean, you'll definitely take your chances. And this lineup, I don't like the Atlanta lineup. So Freddie's a perfect +1 today. Honestly,
Yep.
Like I'm not playing Adrianza. I mean, I just don't play guys like that. He's a better cash play, I think, than tournaments for the most part. I mean, you could play like Ozzy Albies, I guess. I just don't like the Atlanta lineup today. I'd love Freddie, though. So Freddie's definitely on the +1 list. And then, like DC said, Morton, I like Morton more than I like these Yankees. So I'm not going to go to the Yankees either. It's just Freddie for me in this game.
All right, DC, tell me about the Atlanta side. And are there any Yankees you want to mix in throughout the lineups against Morton? But I'm assuming no, because you like.
No Yankees for me. So Freddie, I really, really like him. I think you can absolutely play him as a one-off. I'll be doing so myself on some lineups. I kind of like Ozzy Albies here. Not a great start for him, but especially from when he's swinging from the left side, which it will be here. He'll hit some he doesn't have a huge amount of power. He'll hit some kind of well struck, but not well enough to get out in right field. And so Yankee Stadium is obviously the perfect park for that, with the very short porch in right field. I could see him taking Tyon deep, or doing it later in the game, obviously. And then if you need a punt, Pablo Sandoval, 2,200 here. He's got 3 home runs already. He's got a 1,600 OPS, hitting 6th. Can play him at first or third base. The Braves got some injuries right now. Acuna I don't know if he's on the IL, but not in the lineup here. They've obviously got the DH in the American League Park. So, yeah, I don't think, Sandoval's not coming out of this game. He's a switch hitter. He's the DH. So you're going to get however, 4 or 5 at-bats out of him, whatever it is. 2,200. He's hot as hell, and we've seen him he's extremely streaky. He just always has been, and he's clearly hot right now. So I kind of like Pablo Sandoval a little bit.
Yeah. Hey, listen, hot as hell and Pablo Sandoval were 2 words I didn't expect to be used in the same sentence in 2021, but it's true. Big T, are we mixing him throughout our lineups instead of an Adrianza? What are you doing with Mr.
Definitely play Sandoval over Adrianza. Definitely.
I do agree. I like it too, just because you could go like a little mini stack, even Freddie, Albies, Sandoval, and then throw in like D'Arnaud or something. Sure. As a 4th guy, maybe. I don't know. I just don't like Adrianza, so I'd play Pablo over him.
No, he's got no power. Yeah, we ain't playing these singles hitters. No.
By the way, why are the Braves underdogs here? Like, I don't see it. Like, should we be betting on Atlanta here at +11 or +111, Tony?
Yes.
It definitely seems like a coin flip, so take the juice.
Yep.
Yeah, I agree. I like Atlanta for sure.
I'm with you. I think the Yankees losing streak will continue, and Prison Mike will be upset again. We will have another L going on the Yankees side of the ball.
It's a nice day in New York. Maybe he'll be at this game. Maybe we can get some reports from him.
So you're saying there's a chance. I would love to see that. That'd be great to see in the crowd, because there's not as many people to watch on the camera, and I would definitely be watching if you told me I got to see that. So that'd be a good time. Let's move on to the next game. Let's talk about the Cincinnati Reds and the Arizona Diamondbacks. Again, a great hitter's park. Obviously, there's some weather concerns. Big T, you've stacked up Arizona correctly, I think, this year, and you've gotten the Reds right too. So you've gotten these teams pretty well. How are you handling them with these 2 decent pitchers here?
Yeah, I mean, it's another spot. I know we keep agreeing with everyone, but man, like it doesn't feel like a full stack spot to me. I really like Asdrubal against Castillo. I mean, Peralta's been ice cold. Calhoun sucks. I just don't like any of the other Arizona guys, which is one of the reasons I think Castillo is just tough fade. But I do like Asdrubal. And then Cincinnati, I mean, no one is going to pay $5,200 for Tyler Naquin against Gallen, and the dude kills right-handed pitching. Tons of power. I've always liked him against righties. I like him, but then I look at the rest of the lineup, and I don't like any of the rest of the Cincinnati lineup. So I feel like I'm agreeing and just riding along with DC, but I'm okay with that because he keeps crushing. I just don't like the full stacks in either one of these spots. Give me Asdrubal and give me Naquin, and I'm going to add them to my +1 mini stack type lists. I really don't see anyone else I like in the game. I mean, Votto has looked slightly better. He's been awful for like 5 years, it feels like. He has looked slightly better this year, though.
I think his power's back. He said he was gonna sell out for power. He's always been the guy that's like choking up halfway up the bat to try to avoid a strikeout. And now he's just like, I'm just gonna try to hit some home runs because what I've been doing hasn't been working. And if you look at the metrics, like he's been like super steady his whole career, and they all change. He's like actually is playing like a new guy. So I like Votto. I just don't really like picking on Zach Gallen, who's just a really, really good pitcher.
Yeah, I would say
hold on one sec, man. The dude in the chat says, Brock says, I think that might be Barrick even from the chat, but D-Rock says Cole Calhoun, his numbers pop off the sheet against Castillo. As everyone knows, I'm not a huge number guy, but is this true? Does Calhoun profile super good against Castillo?
He's dirt cheap at 2.5. What would you say, DC?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know about that, but like it's a great hitter's park. So I'm just looking at the radar here. It's like this game's going to be totally fine. And then if it's kind of this like same storm, it's like freezing rain coming. It's just a matter of when it gets there. So it's going to be something to monitor for sure, right up to lock. It'll be interesting. The slate will change a lot, obviously, if people are starting to get worried about pitching Castillo, because that's going to be, half the lineups out there probably have Castillo on them right now.
Yep, definitely would be something to watch for. You guys talk about Joey Votto and his heater. Maybe he signed up for Run Pure Sports. That's where the heater's coming from. We currently have the code RPS Heater 25. Sign up now, get 25% off your first payment here at Run Pure Sports. We have everything you need. We have baseball. We have UFC, which is going to be a big card this weekend, DC. You'll be doing a show on Saturday, actually. So talk about that, because I'm sure they love the UFC. They love the fighting. And talk about that show you guys will be doing.
Yeah, meet Titletown, Joey Work. It's always at 11 Eastern time, something like that on Saturdays. 3 title fights on Saturday, so it's gonna be a fantastic card. UFC 261. That'll be free on YouTube as always. So yeah, join us for that one too.
Yep. Check that out. Again, use the code RPS Heater 25. You get all the content. You get NASCAR, which Big T shipped this weekend. We had our boy Mikey. He was in there with the same team, actually. You know, a lot of guys up there, the Run Pure logo. So
I love seeing Mikey win too. Like, Mikey's a good dude. He helps us with a bunch of stuff, does the content, always a good attitude, hops on the bet shows. Love seeing him ship that.
Yeah. I got to tell you a story about Mikey. So we were gaming the other night and we're talking, and Mikey goes, He's been playing some live blackjack at the casino on DraftKings.
Oh no!
This is what Mikey tells me. He goes in conversation, just drops it. The live blackjack dealer knows his name. He knows who Jersey 007 is. That's got to be a bad thing, right?
That NASCAR winnings is going to go awful quick at the blackjack tables.
Oh, Mikey said he's going to be smart, so don't worry. But I was laughing that he says his boy Raul knows his name, and it was a sight.
He probably wanted to learn his name after he found out he shipped NASCAR and had a little extra coin in his pocket.
Yeah, it was some good stuff. But
could you imagine paying $500 instead of just getting our site for where you get all the sports for one payment? Like $500 just for friggin' NASCAR? You get it all at our site.
Yeah, and we just take that, we just steal it from them and give it to you guys anyway. So it's all good.
Exactly.
What I would like to do here is I would like to, when I do my DFS stuff, I just want to sign up for a one-stop shop, right? I don't want to have to log into this account and go over to here and go over to there. And then like 2 months later, you're asking me for, this site. Like, I'm definitely all about that. So, and it's also part of being with this community, right? And being in the Discord chat and helping each other and, just wanting to be a team, and we win together, we lose together. And that's what we're trying to do.
It's all about the friends you make along the way.
That is very true. I didn't know CSURab was on our show.
Yeah.
Jeez, we got a CSU.
That is a CSU
show. It's getting crazy in here. So
especially today on 420, he's probably got a lot of good motivational quotes for us.
Yeah, we better watch out. We might have start talking about crypto punks the longer. But enough about all that. Let's move on to the next game. Let's talk about the Orioles and the Miami Marlins. This is a game that you liked a little bit of stacking on, DC. So talk about how you're going to stack this one up. Yeah,
people that aren't all up on the DFS Twitter world are probably a few things going over their head today, but that's all right. So one thing I'm interested to find out, I'll obviously look up after the show, if the roof's going to be open in Miami, because it's going to be like 80 degrees and humid. So if it is, this is going to play like a pretty good hitter's park. But, I think people know how bad Matt Harvey is, right? We want to take hitters against him for sure. He's been kind of like a DFS whipping boy for years now. I think the guy opposite him, Nick Neidert, is even worse. I think this guy's might be the worst starting pitcher in baseball at this very moment. You look at the surface stats, they look pretty bad, like a 6 strikeout to 9 walk ratio so far. I love stacking against guys that are wild, right? Because even when your hitters aren't up, you can get that lineup, turn them back over to your guys, get guys all over the bases. And Neidert you do a dig under the hood on this guy. He looks even worse than he's performed so far. So I think he is very bad. Baltimore has an okay lineup, they got a few guys that can hit a little bit, especially in the top 5 or 6 there. So yeah, Baltimore, one of my favorite stacks. You don't got to pay for it. You can easily get, a Corbin Burns and one of our cheap guys in there with the full on Baltimore stack if you want to go that way. And then of course on the other side, I'll take guys against Matt Harvey. Jazz Chisholm, we've been on him all year long. He looks fantastic. Just a kind of like I don't want to compare him to like Tatis or Ronald Acuna, but he's like that type of athlete, that type of player. Of course, doesn't have quite those guys' skills at this point of his career, but he's got power, he's got speed. plays with charisma, and against Matt Harvey, I'll take a shot on Chisholm Jr. for sure.
Yeah, I got some questions in the chat, or some comments in the chat I want to mention. So Stewie P says, I missed the NBA workbench. And like, listen, you're going to get that from Big T. He's going to give you those plays. But if you don't get those likes and subscribes up, maybe not, right? We got 583 watching and only 170 likes. Big T, confirm or deny, you're going to be giving out the NBA plays, but we got to get those likes up.
Yeah, I mean, we're always, as long as they take care of us, bring the good mojo, we'll give them the plays without it.
Why is it so hard to hit the like button? It literally takes like half a second.
Yeah, it's not that hard. Don't worry. Big T will give out the NBA plays. He'll make fun of me for suggesting
You're putting a lot of pressure on me without realizing it, because I literally have not looked at anything NBA wise.
You're good. 7:30 lock, Tony. And
Big T just opened up another DraftKings window. He set it over to the.
And I only got my laptop today. I got to open another tab.
You'll be fine, Tony. And listen, you made fun of De'Aaron Fox a couple weeks ago at 9.5, and then you touted him the last 2 weeks. So tout him again above 9K.
The funny thing is, I've made fun of you about a few guys that I end up touting. I find myself touting them the next few weeks after that, both times.
I've noticed Lou Dort's next. So, congrats on your Lou Dort tout coming up in the next.
It might be the workbench play today, Mr. Dort.
Oh, yeah. No, he's not on the show today, but
he's not on the slate
today. But yeah, no, it might be coming up. I thought that was so funny, though. We also had people saying the roof is closed. They mentioned that. And also someone said, hit up G Risen today. We got to play G Risen's core plays, right? It's 420, Tony. We got to hit up his core plays. That's got to be the narrative.
One thing, I'm not a big guy into that, but it was 420 today. We were walking the streets of Avon. I did make a few purchases. I got a good little supply to bring back with me. There's some nice stores out here in Colorado. I'll tell you that much.
Well, you better watch out. G Risen might be there soon to
God, my house still smells from that guy.
Oh man, that's good. Tony, talk about the Orioles though. I mean, what are you doing here with this game? Because it's a good one. We definitely want to get some exposure. I think some Baltimore bats.
I mean, so the Friday show, when we got the mojo going, my first baseball show, me and DC gave a bunch of winners that day. The name I brought up, the workbench play that day, Freddie Galvis, under 5% owned every friggin' day. And what has he done since then? 14, 17, 20. And then he only had one bad game, the last game in Texas. But 3 huge games. The dude is always under 5% owned. He'll be under 5% owned again tonight against a terrible right-handed pitcher. Definitely Freddie Galvis again with that. I like Baltimore all the way around, just like DC, especially the lefties, which is basically all of them except for Mancini and Franco, who both have power. So
yeah,
exactly. Whole lineup for Baltimore.
Their whole lineup is a good play tonight, basically.
And Miami. So the issue I have with Miami is the same thing we've had on these shows too. I think they're a lot better against lefties, and
for sure.
We keep getting them against these damn righties. Like Harvey's always struggled with lefties, and all they have is Dickerson and Jazz. So I think maybe just another one-off there. I don't even like Dickerson that much.
That's why I specifically brought up Jazz, because I think he's an awesome play. But the rest of them, I can do better.
Jazz with Baltimore seems like a winning strategy, though. I like that a lot.
All right, that'll wrap up that game. We got the Pirates and Tigers, but that's off the slate, so no need to discuss that. We move over to, this is where the FanDuel slate starts, but it's also on the DraftKings slate. We got the Cardinals and the Washington Nationals. We got a nice 9.5 run total. We got Mr. Patrick Corbin on the other side. And listen, DC, I had some people, people say, we don't play our plays and they don't win. And someone said, Paul DeJong wasn't mentioned on the show yesterday, but I had him on the cash chart. And I played in my lineup, so that guy can go suck it for one. And two, I like Paul DeJong again. Against Pat Corbin, we want to stack against him, right? We want to get those righty power bats. And like when you have an opportunity to find a lefty that's struggling and you have a team that's full of righties, it's the St. Louis Cardinals. Like it's a dream spot. And I think you want to get some exposure to these guys.
Yeah, of course. Corbin's just done. I think he's just flat up washed. He's always had a home run problem. That's not going away. We saw it in his last start, and now you get him against this Cardinals team that put up 12 runs yesterday. I didn't have nearly enough Cardinals. Didn't mention Paul DeJong. Did not play Paul DeJong myself, so felt the pain on that one. But I'll be playing him tonight. 70 degrees here in Washington, which is a nice hitter's park anyway. 10 degrees out to center field. You got Corbin throwing from the left side, who's just been getting hammered, lost his velocity a couple years ago, and it's not coming back. Give me these Cardinals dudes, including Mr. Paul DeJong. I haven't played much Arenado. I haven't played much Goldschmidt. That'll change tonight. I'm getting some exposure to the St. Louis team. Definitely prefer the right-handed guys, which is, pretty much their whole damn lineup. So, yeah, I'm absolutely in on the Cardinals. I mean, Yadier Molina is my favorite catcher. DeJong's up there at shortstop. Goldschmidt's up there at first. But, like, their whole lineup is pretty damn close to the top at their respective positions, which obviously means they're going to be one of my very favorite stacks. And I don't know. Of course, Patrick Corbin's going to have some good starts the rest of the way, but I think they're going to be few and far between. I think St. Louis has as much upside as anybody tonight.
It always helps when there's a bad bullpen on the other side too, right? So that's the other thing I like, when I can get the pitcher that's struggling and I can get the bad bullpen. So I'm in on that. Tony, how about you? Any interest in these Cardinals today?
Yeah, this looks like the game everyone's going to go to, I think, as far as the stack. Like, you got good weather. You got it's almost 70 right now. It looks like, I think DC was talking about the weather too, but it looks good there. And you got Corbin, who's struggled. You got a lineup with all righties, a bunch of power. They check all the boxes. And then you look the other way, you got a bunch of good lefties against a guy like Wainwright, Soto, obviously, we talked about it. Trout, Soto, Freddie Freeman, +1s, just total studs, every single freaking slate. Tonight's no different. Schwarber's sucked a little bit so far, but he's going to get it going at some point with some power. Both of these lineups, top to bottom, look really good. So this is one of the few games that I think you can stack up pretty hard, both directions. There's really no one I dislike on both teams. Looking at the lineups, I think they both look good. So this is your stack game of all the games I've seen so far.
Yeah, and DC, Steve's in the chat. He actually said that you and him mentioned DeJong on the podcast, right? So you do a podcast every day. So if that guy didn't hear it, tell him where you can find the podcast and when you do it.
Yeah, it's out every morning, breaking down the next day's games, kind of reviewing sometimes what we were on the previous day, and just trying to drop as much baseball knowledge as we can. Kind of rotating guests. Today actually went solo, but it's always a good time. Well, listen, we're taking our victory laps. I wasn't on Paul DeJong last night. He wasn't in my playbook. He wasn't in my core plays. I didn't have him on my team. So is what it is. I'm sure maybe we brought him up on the podcast. Maybe Steve was on him. Maybe I wasn't listening at that moment, but is what it is.
Okay, I don't listen a lot of the time, so I will not make fun of you for that, DC.
It's like the perfect thing to listen to, though. Like whatever you're doing in the morning, you're driving the kids somewhere. It gets you ready. Like in basketball, full disclosure, I never do this with basketball, but baseball, you can find out matchups. You can find out stuff like that. Baseball is way easier to listen to early in the day because not much changes. Sure, the lineup, maybe one guy's in, one guy's out, but for the most part, everything stays the same in baseball. So it's way easier to listen early in the day.
Yeah, way easier to do too. Like the basketball one, especially as the season dragged on, is just like, well, we don't really have any idea who's going to be playing. So it's kind of tough.
Yeah, no, for sure. Again, this is a game that people are going to load up on. Definitely a good one to go to. I'll definitely have some exposure to both sides, and definitely have to, make sure to have a little bit of a taste of this game. If you don't, you'll definitely be avoiding some ownership though. And there could be some other good spots though, but again, not the greatest slate, but that's definitely the game stack. Like Tony said, let's go over to the next one. Let's talk about the Giants and the Phillies. And I don't want to attack Zach Wheeler, right? But I do think the Giants are always a fun team to target, right? Like some of these bats, like an Alec Dickerson, a Brandon Belt.
DC's getting credit for DeJong now. They said you agreed with them being a good play. You're giving good plays, and you don't even know you're giving good plays now.
There we go. I wish I would have remembered and played him myself. That would have been nice.
You should have went back and listened to the podcast, which no one.
I listened to your own one.
Yeah, I'll be listening to my own podcast from here on out. I guess I'm yeah, who knows? Maybe I'd had a couple cocktails.
But listen, let's talk about this game because, like, I want to play Giants, but it's just not the right spot, right? I always like targeting these Giants, Tony. I think you've been onto it pretty early, and I think there are some sneaky hitters, but it's probably the wrong spot to go to these guys. And instead, you're probably looking at some Phillies, like a Bryce Harper's, or maybe one of those one-offs you were talking about.
Yeah, and another guy, I know people make fun of me because I have my guys against splits, but Matt Joyce against righties is always on my list. Especially in the one hole, especially against a guy like Logan Webb. I know it sounds simple, and like a lot of people just don't do it. My teams are always unique in baseball, always getting my guys like this, and I'll just take my chances over the course of the year. Matt Joyce is just a great, great play tonight out of that one hole. And you can put Bryce Harper with him. And like we said, maybe when DC was given that plan where you do a bunch of one-offs, maybe it's 2-2-2-1-1 or something where Harper and Joyce together. I mean, sign me up for that against Logan Webb. But the rest of the line, I do like Brad Miller too in that 5-hole. They got 3 nice lefties in there that I kind of like that. Every other guy, maybe you don't play Segura or Real Muto. You play every third guy, Joyce, Harper, Brad Miller, and no one's going to play that. Literally no one will play just those 3 with whoever else, some one-offs. So I like that. San Fran, though, not tonight. I'm not going to play San Fran against a guy like Wheeler.
Yeah. DC, what about you? Brad Miller is in there, right? And that's the guy I was actually going to mention. I figured Tony would like him. Any interest in some Brad Miller here against the bad lefty?
He's okay. I definitely prefer like Sandoval for a little bit cheaper, same position. I think he's just a little bit better hitter right now. I like Harper a ton against Logan Webb. I'm with Big T, and I think you too, Travis. Like I'm not going to play Zach Wheeler at 9,800 against, this team's full of lefties, and most of them have decently low strikeout rates. But I'm not on San Francisco either. Wheeler, good ground ball pitcher, is just a fade on both sides of that matchup. Wheeler versus the Giants lineup, and yeah, it's the lefties against Logan Webb. I don't think Webb's really anything special at all. He'll give up the long ball. Harper, by far my favorite play, but if you want to throw Joyce Miller in the mix, I have no problem with that either.
All right, let's go to the next game. We got Blue Jays and Red Sox, and not too interested in any of the Sox today, but we do get a Kike Hernandez against the lefty. So, Tony, I know you look at that sometimes. Doesn't feel like the right lefty to attack. And then you got these Blue Jays against a lefty that you can expect a nice little ballpark upgrade for them. So, what are you doing here with the Blue Jays and Red Sox?
Yeah, I mean, Kike against the lefty always. I don't know if I'll get there today, just because Ryu is one of those guys. I don't love picking on him. He just never seems to get shelled that hard. So could go there. I definitely wouldn't hate it if you played Kike, but Toronto, like I said, I think Eduardo, I might be the only one that thinks that, but I just don't think he looks right, which means you could see an explosion at times come against him, especially in this park. The weather is decent too. It's in the 60s.
Really good weather. Yeah.
Toronto could be one of the sneakier teams of the slate as far as a stack. I don't think you really need to throw one-offs in there, but they got a lot of righties against Eduardo. Obviously, at Fenway is a good thing. So Toronto could be quite sneaky as far as a full stack.
No, I'm with you. Again, like it's Eduardo, he's like first or last, right? So like if it blows up, it gets ugly. The walks come, and when you get walks, if you get the home run with it, I mean, you just get all the correlation in the world. So DC, what do you want to do here with these Blue Jays?
Yeah, no lineup out yet for the Blue Jays, which is a little bit weird. Sometimes I can hold ownership down if it comes out super late for whatever reason. And I don't think people really take that many guys against Eduardo Rodriguez. I think he does have kind of in my opinion, maybe more respect than he deserves. I have no problem taking hitters against him. You got the young Blue Jays that are playing well, a lot of power from the right side, led by, of course, Vlad and Bo Bichette, but plenty of guys. Grichuk, Lourdes Gurriel is a good hitter. They've got a lot of good guys that you could play against Eduardo. So I like it. One of the better hitting environments on the entire slate. Red Sox have almost nothing in the pen that you're scared of at all. Matt Barnes, their closer, has pitched well, but if your stack goes off, you're never going to see him anyway. So I'm in on these Blue Jays for sure.
Yeah, definitely good reasons to get in on the Blue Jays in tournaments. They have upside. You can definitely get some exposure. Another reason why is these next couple games are going to be kind of dusty that we're going to talk about. We might cruise through them quick. I'm probably going to get no's from Tony here. Mets and Cubs. Tony, are we playing anyone in this game?
No, I mean, it looks – so Arrieta is one of those guys that I've tried to beat for the last 4 years, and I just feel like he never gets shelled. He's one of those guys that does it with mirrors in a way, but not going to play the Mets today, not going to play the Cubs today. If anything, I like both pitchers. I'm not going to play Jake, but I'm not going to pick on him either. He's one of those guys on a 13-game slate that I don't see the Mets ever scoring 12 runs or something against him.
Yeah, if you guys could please hit the like, hit the subscribe on the video. Helps us out a ton. Again, we're almost at 600 watching, and we got 243 likes. We want to get those up Again, helps us out a ton. And if we get the good mojo going, maybe we'll give some stuff away. That's how we do it here at Run Pure Sports. DC, what do we do with the Cubs and Mets? Feels like a full fade for me. How about you?
Yeah, full fade. Only player in the entire game I would really consider is Taijuan Walker. You're just not going to find me playing many guys in these 37-degree weather games. I'll find a better spot. It's just it's pretty much a hard and fast rule especially in some of these bigger parks. So
you just play pitchers always in this spot. You're going to end up way, way better off than ever playing hitters in these games.
It's always like 1-0 in the 6th inning. You're just like, all right.
Yeah, listen, you won't see RPS logos with these. You might see some other ones, some ball number logos with these guys. Not us, right? No doubt we're not going to be playing these guys. What do you do with the Tampa Bay Rays and the Kansas City Royals? Again, another game. I think we fade, DC. How about you?
Yep. Yeah, same thing. Basically the same weather as Mets in Chicago. Cold, wind blowing in, big park anyway. I talked about it a lot yesterday. We saw a pitcher's duel yesterday. I think we're going to see one again with Rich Hill and Brad Keller. They're both super cheap. These offenses aren't any good anyway. You add it up all together. No hitters in this one for me. No one even – I might be firing in 150 tonight. I don't think I'll have a single hitter from this game in the pool. So give me both these pitchers. I think both guys are in a good spot.
All right, Big T, how about you? Full fade and move on to the Coors game?
Definitely. I'll be playing pitchers in this game.
All right, let's talk about the Coors game. How do you handle it? Again, 10.5 total. It's technically the highest total on the slate. And yes, there are some price tags up on these guys, Tony, but it feels like it's not getting a lot of love. And I don't know, it feels like Coors Field is not getting as much exposure as it has in the past. And I think it's partially because of the Rockies lineup, where maybe some people start making it contrarian to play Coors. I don't know, maybe not in this spot, but what do you do here with the Rockies and the Astros?
So I've always been known as a Coors fader, and it's not going to change in 30-degree weather. I'll tell you that much. So yeah. I will not be on Coors tonight.
All right, DC, how about you? The 30-degree weather, are you getting on Coors or are you getting off it?
Yeah, currently don't have much from this game. John Gray has looked pretty good through these first few games. Velocity back up from last year. And Luis Garcia, a talented pitcher himself. I actually ended up maybe playing him in this one with the cold weather. But I just don't think the pitch count's going to be for him there. And there's other cheap pitchers I like, but yeah, I don't really have much from this game at all. We'll see what the Astros lineup is. Like a Yordan Alvarez in the cold weather, sure, he can do the damage, but it's going to be minimal exposure for me for sure.
Here's a couple questions I want for you, DC. So I'm mainly a one lineup guy. Alex Bregman or Nolan Arenado? If I was spending at third base, what would you do there? Because I think that's a question that people might ask themselves today.
Pretty easily Arenado over Bregman for me.
I think it's a landslide to him.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. It probably is a better move to go to him. What about Kyle Tucker? So there's a lot of good outfielders. He's got a really nice price tag. So yes, of course, Mike Trout versus Kyle Tucker and all these other outfielders. Yes, it's obviously those guys, but with the salary savings, what do you think of Kyle Tucker? Is he the best Astro if you were looking for a one-off?
Yordan Alvarez is my favorite. I think Kyle Tucker is a decent play too. I'm kind of coming around a little bit to some of these Astros bats, depending on who's in there, just because it's not, it will be cold, but it's not like nasty weather here. You know what I mean? It's cold, but it's sunny. There's no wind. I don't know. I don't know exactly how to deal with it.
Just fade it.
I mean, that was my initial plan. I'm starting to question it a little bit.
I think the Astros are going to be more popular than we're giving them credit to. Their prices are cheap.
Could be. Yeah.
All right.
John Gray's going to shut them down. Screw the Astros. They're not beating us today.
Well, if they're with you. Yeah, maybe you'll have some John Gray. I don't know. Probably not.
I don't hate it. It's just I think it's the wrong slate.
Why don't we bring in our resident Coors expert, Titletown? I'm sure he'll have some.
He loves the Astros.
Gosh, yeah, no, I just can't. I think this is going to be a tough spot to roster these guys. I think there's better spots to go to, and basically the next game is the better spot to go to, right? We got Angels and the Rangers, and you know Kyle Gibson well, DC. Maybe you're a Rangers expert, or you're just a Kyle Gibson expert. We got Jordan Lyles on the mound, and I played some Angels yesterday, and my boy Justin Upton got it done for me. He always gets it done. I'll probably have exposure to him tonight. But what about these other guys? Because they let me down yesterday. I really had a nice chance, and I want to go back to these Angels. Am I crazy to go back, or should I go back?
Yeah, I assume he had Ohtani as well. He flew out to
Just brutal.
Yeah, like 410 feet to dead center. Kind of got robbed of a home run or close to it anyway. So no Ohtani in the lineup tonight. I'll say that. They already said he's not going to hit in this game. He has hit, I think, in the first Sunday night game. He was in the lineup as a pitcher and a hitter, but not tonight, they're saying.
I have the lineup, DC. I'll read it to you because it's an interesting lineup. We have Fletcher, Walsh, Trout, Upton, and then it's Rojas in the 5 spot, Pujols, Iglesias, Schebler, and Suzuki. Like the bottom half of that lineup is really gross.
Is that my boy from Cincinnati, Scotty Schebler?
Yes, he's in that lineup.
Oh, baby doll. I like that guy back in
I haven't seen him in a lineup all year. I didn't even know he was on the team.
He hasn't hit a ball in like 5 years. Like he was so bad.
No, he played yesterday against Texas. I think it says 0 at bats. I don't know. I thought I saw him yesterday, but maybe
I haven't seen him in the lineup yet, unless I totally missed it.
Yeah, not sure. But yeah, that's their bottom half of the lineup is really gross. The top half, yeah, it's gonna get some ownership, but I don't know. DC, like, how are you handling this?
Did you guys see the best thing yesterday, by the way? Albert Winnie the Pujols got a stolen base.
No way.
He got a stolen base. I was dying.
I think it was a trail runner on a double steal.
But but he still gets the credit.
That
might be the only stolen base you'll see from Albert Pujols ever again in his career. We'll have to see.
Probably. I mean, I'm not playing Pujols. I'm not playing Jose Iglesias or Jose Rojas, but Walsh, Trout, Upton. If you want to play those 3 guys, yeah, go right ahead. Upton, we've been talking about him. He looks good. I know Big T been a Justin Upton hater, but he doesn't know.
I took the L already. You can't bear it. I already took the L.
All right. Yeah, this is
crushing.
It's Justin Upton.
That dude has won me so much money. Anytime I plug him in the lineup, it always goes well. So I love.
He's back. So I like that 2 through 4, but that's pretty much it for the Angels. In Texas against Ohtani, I don't think so, but he's coming off a blister, has missed 2 starts, doesn't have a high pitch count anyway, and can get super wild. I don't hate the Texas stack if you're trying to go way off the board. I think the Texas guys are going to have like 1% ownership, something crazy like that. It's a good hitting environment, and I don't know what kind of Ohtani we're going to see. He's just been all over the place in his career as a pitcher. He's had some really, really bad starts over his career, not that infrequently. So I might try to get in a Texas stack if I remember.
All right, we also got the Blue Jays lineup. Man, that lineup looks scary, man. Semien, Bo.
It is scary.
Guerrero, Grichuk, Gurriel, Biggio. It's a tough lineup. So
knock yourself out with Eduardo Rodriguez, man, going.
I'm definitely not playing him for sure. I will say that. So if you're looking for one of those lineups, it's probably not happening. It was one of those things I was like, maybe it could work, but it's not going to be good. Yeah, you like Gurriel there, right, Tony, in that Blue Jays lineup? He's in that lineup there. So
I mean, I'll just flat out say it, like that lineup's the nuts. And the best part about it is the first 3 guys are super expensive to where it fits our build a little bit with how we want to go. These guys can't physically be over 10% owned, probably not even 5%. At these prices on a 13-game slate. They have as much upside as anyone on the slate. And on top of it, you got Grichuk and Gurriel cheap in the 4 and 5 hole.
Yeah.
Toronto definitely is my favorite stack, I believe.
And this is why baseball, like, you need lineups, right? Sometimes like it can change your decision on stuff. And like, man, like that lineup is.
Don't leave out my man Alejandro Kirk down there at catcher, 2,900.
I was just looking at a wraparound is the funny thing. 8, 9, 1, 2, 3. No one's going to play Toronto 8, 9, 1, 2, 3. And I freaking like it because the catcher, we always want to punt a catcher. And then you got the 3 expensive guys. Anyone that stacks Toronto, I promise you is playing Grichuk or Gurriel or both.
Yeah, no one will have 8, 9, 1, 2, 3 because you physically can't. Both Jansen and Kirk are catchers at the bottom, but other than that, I agree with you.
Well,
yeah, listen,
one of them.
I had to pull a technicality on you, Big T.
Yeah, that's all right. I encourage it.
Listen, I'm sure you also encourage a nice reach around stack every once in a while, Tony.
I encourage all reach arounds, correct.
Yeah, you always get down with that. So no complaints there. But yeah, so let's talk more about this game. Tony, what are you doing with the top end of this Angels lineup? Again, it's loaded at the top and gross at the bottom. And
so I kind of disagree. I can't agree with everything you guys say all show. I don't mind the bottom as much as you guys do. Iglesias and Kurt, I mean, Kurt's a catcher. He's got a little bit of power, tiny bit of power. Like I said, Scotty Schebler's 2K on DK. Stone Man, he's hit bombs at times. He's been awful. I understand he's horrendous, but in baseball, you know what? if I'm playing a couple stud arms, I don't give a shit if he's been awful. He's 2K. Like, I really don't care in baseball. The dude's 2K. If he fits my stack, like if I play Walsh, Trout, Upton, and then Schebler and Suzuki or something, I like that stack as a little 5-man stack. So I don't hate it. Like Iglesias, I mean, I probably won't play him just because I do agree with the part. Like if I stack the Angels, I'll definitely play Walsh, Trout, Upton without a doubt. But probably I wouldn't be scared to go down to Schebler and Suzuki for my other two.
He's a 2K guy that has power. You can't go
against a righty too, a bad righty on top of it. Like I don't hate it.
Yeah, that's fine.
He is terrible though. Disclosure, like since he couldn't even crack Cincinnati's lineup, they couldn't score last year. So
yeah, I'll say I played Kurt. I did the old Big T the other day. I played Kurt Suzuki on FanDuel, and the utility is one of I had some
catcher on FanDuel is like the best move. I swear it is. No one ever plays those guys.
No one plays two, right? Like, and again, I know Suzuki wasn't the greatest option, but hey, it fit. Jammed in all
when they hit 2 bombs one day, they're the best option because no one has them, and it happens all the time.
Yep, one of my best hits on FanDuel was because I had 3 home runs from Grandal, like 2% when he's with the Dodgers, and it's like, yeah, like people just don't roster these catchers that have power because they just kind of ignore it and they just want to only play first baseman. So
Izzy in the chat says not paying $5K for Simeon. Well, no shit, no one wants to, and he's like the best play on the slate at $5K. Going against a lefty at Fenway? Sign me up. I hope you don't play him, Izzy. Don't play him.
Izzy, I mean, you don't want to be part of the movement. Again, like the Marcus Semien, look at the position. It's
against a lefty at Fenway? Are you kidding me?
Yeah, I'm with you. DC, you're on board. Is it 3 for 3 on Semien?
Of course. Yeah. Sign me up.
Can you imagine not liking Semien against a lefty at Fenway?
Exactly. We have money to spend today. I'm not too worried about that. So definitely worth mentioning there. We don't have this Twins game. I don't think is on this slate, right? It's separated because it's the first game only. So they're playing 1 at 10. I'm sure if you want to play some Showdown stuff, you could do that, but no need. Let's go and talk about the Brewers and the Padres, right? We talked about it a little bit. We're not going to be playing Padres against Burns, I don't think. But hey, we don't like Mr. Paddock. So DC, any interest in some of these Brewers, even though it's a banged up lineup?
Hey, you could play like a Travis Shaw, give me some power against Chris Paddock. But the bigger news here, no Manny Machado, no Fernando Tatis in the lineup for the San Diego Padres. We also have their worst hitting catcher in there. So Caratini is out.
It's Corbin Burns season. I mean, it's got to be.
Yeah, it might be Corbin Burns season.
Big T, how about you? I mean, is that changing?
Let's go first and last. Corbin Burns, Brad Keller, and then find those bets.
I mean, that's definitely viable to me, and it's Burns. I mean, San Diego clearly. This is just my opinion. It might be wrong, but they see how good Burns has been. They want to get these guys an off day. It just kind of lines up where they don't need to throw those good guys out there against Burns. They'll just take their chances. Burns is going to mow this lineup. He became a lot safer. I know Steve at one point in the chat said that last time it was a blowout, maybe Burns went a little deeper. Who knows? He's been in the 80s every start. Maybe we do get a little extra. Who knows? But we don't need extra is the point. Like even in the 80s.
I think that's like a good point from Steve. There's no question Burns can throw 100 pitches. It's not like he's slowing down. He's mowing them down in the 6th inning. Yeah, I mean, if it's a 1-0 game or something, sure, I could see him sending him back out there to get closer to 100 pitches. I think that's a good point.
I will say
it's been so good. He's gonna. I might be leaning toward just locking.
Have you watched this guy pitch, dude? He's just incredible. Man.
Another great point that you brought up, Big T, and I look at ahead on schedule sometimes whenever I think something comes up, and I just looked it up real quick. Well, why could they be resting guys on this random day? Well, they play the Dodgers in a 4-game series, and one of them is Sunday Night Baseball. They're not going to sit their guys on Sundays, which you see teams do that. On Sundays, they give guys off. That's at like the 1 o'clock games. They're not doing that on Sunday Night Baseball.
Are they off tomorrow or no? They can't be off tomorrow.
Yeah, no, they have a 4-game series, I think, against them. And it's like, they're like MLB TV for the other games. So of course, like they're going to want to play in these games. And the series they played the other day, right? And it was kind of a nice little series. So they obviously want to, have that little rivalry going.
This lineup is so bad. Like Burns might be a lock to me now.
Yeah, so they go Tuesday, Wednesday, and then they play a 4-game set. So yeah, no days off for them. They have a day off on Monday. They have a 2-game series then against Arizona. So give them a nice little break here, and then they'll have some fun against the Dodgers this weekend, and they won't be taken off. So Are we stacking up Brewers because of that? I mean, are we going to get some really bad arms too? Like, are you going to get Paddock just out there playing terrible, just eating it up so they can save that bullpen for this weekend, DC?
Guess it's possible. I just don't really like the Brewers lineup very much. Without Christian Yelich, yeah, like I said, the left-handed power would be where I would go. They don't have that much of it. Travis Shaw, Vogelbach could be in the lineup. I guess he would be okay. But I don't know. I'll probably both be sticking to Burns in this game.
Yep. Big T, any chance on some Brewer stacks or, just Burns and move on?
I mean, I would literally say that I'd probably even play Paddock before I'd play Brewers. That's how much I hate the Brewers lineup.
It is tough right now.
It looks awful. Like, who are you excited about playing on that team? I mean, DC brought up Travis Shaw first. That's how bad that lineup is.
Yeah, I mean, maybe Vogelbach. It's just like the leverage idea. If for some reason people are playing Paddock.
Vogelbach's right? Just the worst version of Shaw.
God, Vogelbach, he finally hit a bomb, but God, he's bad.
Yep, he's definitely not good. So it's a rough little lineup. When Jackie Bradley Jr. is batting leadoff, it is tough scene.
I will say this, just because I like to be full disclosure. Like, if I found a perfect lineup that fit both of these pitchers, I wouldn't. You don't be surprised if you see me with one team like that.
Don't play Paddock, dude.
I mean, I don't want to. I'm just saying that if I landed on it, I wouldn't totally hate it.
All right, well, let's get to our top hitters. Stacks, all that stuff. Let's go to, I guess, first we'll kick it off with our top stacks, and then we'll do our plays of the day, and then we'll get on out of here for the NBA Hardwood Show, which is coming up next. Guys, please hit those likes, hit those subscribes on the video. It helps us out a ton, and be sure to do that on the next show coming up. Let's go to you first, Big T. Give me your stacks of the day.
So like we said, Toronto is clearly my favorite stack, especially in the higher price range. I'm with DC. I like Baltimore a decent amount as far as a cheaper type stack. I like St. Louis as a premier stack, but the more I look at Toronto, the more I think I hate teams coming off like a monster game. Like St. Louis went off yesterday. Again, this is just how I play fantasy. People don't have to agree with it, but I hate when teams just totally go off and then come back and they're in a pretty chalky spot the next day. I just don't like it, but it helps that I like Toronto. And I mean, the Philly lefties, like we talked about, I like them a lot. That's pretty much where I'm at, though. I'm not necessarily on the stack today, like we've talked about all show. I'm more on the 2-2-2 type thing. Toronto is definitely the direction I want to go, though, if I stack.
Yeah, I will say it's funny how the show works. Like Big T was talking some crap about Paddock at the start of the show, and now he's like, if he fell in it, I was talking like, Eduardo Rodriguez could be interesting, and like now I'm like, man, that Blue Jays lineup, it is scary, and is that death lineup that I was not hoping to see. And
that's why these shows are the best, though, because we talk through it. I mean, when you're on here with two other good people, it helps you think through things. I think it helps a ton.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I'm looking at Toronto more, definitely considering them. I obviously like the Cardinals and Nationals game. That's like the game I like the most, and I'll surely mix in and match in some guys in that lineup. And of course, like those Braves don't have the greatest run total, but like getting some exposure to that. I don't want to stack it up completely, but I like getting a little exposure to it, like the Angels. DC, where are you at? What are some of your stacks?
Yeah, I think the Cardinals are my favorite one, but problem with them, like Big T mentioned, they went off yesterday, so that's going to bring some ownership. And Corbin got just shelled as massive chalk his last start. So you put those two things together, I think everybody's going to go to the Cardinals. I never like being too chalky in baseball, obviously, but still, I do like their chances of success here, no question. The Orioles, if you're looking for a cheaper stack, which I will be a little bit more now with kind of the Burns upgrade on that Padres lineup. So I really do like the Orioles. And then I'm with you guys on the Blue Jays. Those are my top three for sure.
Yeah. Orioles was a great mention too. That's another one that you mentioned, that one pitcher is not the best, right? So definitely want to get some exposure there to that one. But that wraps up the stacks. Let's go to the plays of the day. So DC, I'll go to you first. Obviously you called Colin Moran the other day and people were loving it. Give me your mom's basement play of the day. Give me that one here, and cue up the graphic, my favorite graphic that we have, Simon, over here.
Yeah. So I usually give a pitcher and a bat. So I don't want to say Corbin Burns is the most expensive guy. That's cheating. I'm going to go with the cheapest pitcher, Brad Keller, as the mom's basement pitcher of the day. And then my hitter, I'm calling for 2 home runs from him. One's not enough. We're going to need 2 dongs out of the Panda, Pablo Sandoval. He's going deep from the right and left side of the plate tonight. 2,200, multi-position eligible. What more can you want? Pablo Sandoval, Mom's Basement, play of the day.
There you go. Pablo Sandoval. Listen, if there's a guy that wants to get in some bagel bites in the Mom's Basement, Pablo Sandoval is that guy, right? No doubt in my mind. He'll be getting that. Man, I want to make sure. I think this will be a good one. I'm going to go with this guy. So we're going to head in the Cardinals game. And of course, like, people don't want to spend the high price tag sometimes on these guys, but I don't think he's going to get some ownership, but I'm going to go with Paul Goldschmidt, right? I love taking him against a bad lefty. So I will go with a guy like Paul Goldschmidt. Love getting some exposure to those Cardinals there. That'll be my dry hump play of the day. Give me Paul Goldschmidt. What are you doing here, Big T? Give us the workbench play. People want to get it. Are they getting a pitcher? Are they getting a hitter? What are they getting here from you, Tony?
I mean, I think pitcher's too easy today, where we covered it pretty good. But, I mean, I think Burns and Castillo are just obvious plays. And we talked about some of the other guys, too. So, I think we covered that. So, I don't need to go to pitcher for those plays today. But my favorite hitter is just clearly one guy. So, I got to give him the work. I have no idea ownership in baseball, but it's never high. So, this guy can't be too high. But Matt Joyce in that one hole against a righty, he's going to lead the game off with a home run and then probably just hit another one his neck. I'll give 2 bumps just like DC. Matt Joyce, definitely my workbench play of the day.
Is there anything better when your first hitter of the day goes deep? Like
That's the best.
Like, oh yeah.
Yep, I'm gonna win all the money.
Yeah.
I will say, DC, no better feeling yesterday than you remember that NBA lock. I don't know how much you've been playing NBA, but it was wild yesterday. And I happened to just look in the Run Pure Sports Twitter account goes, Paul DeJong has 2 home runs. And I was like, oh, I have that guy. That's a great way to go. I hadn't even looked at the baseball score. So
yeah, listen to the podcast, Mango.
What?
You listened to the podcast about the DeJong call.
Of course. I always listen to the Run Pure stuff. Got on the pod, got on DC's plays that, he didn't even know he suggested. That's how much he was on. So use that code HEATER25 to sign up for everything at Run Pure Sports. You get NBA, you get PGA, which you have a PGA show coming up later tonight. We have the NBA Hardwood show. You get the premium show with JSU and Holden. Everything you need for all the DFS sports here. Use the code HEATER25 to get 25% off your first payment. Tony, did I wrap it all up? Is there anything else we got to talk about before we get on out of here?
No, I love it. Big night tonight. 13 games, NBA, golf. This is the time. Like we've said all show, $100 gets you the whole site, counting the bet side. What other site can you get DC's pitching recommendations, Mangone's cash chart for NBA and MLB? And then you can come back and get freaking golf plays at night, all for one price. You get the winners on the bet side. Spread, I think, is on an 11-game win streak with the bet side. I mean, these guys crushed. Joey Works crushed baseball. We got MMA this weekend. All one freaking price. I know it sounds like we're just talking up our site, which we are, but it's the truth. You get a lot of shit for $100. It's well worth it. Sign up.
Yep, definitely well worth it. Again, we got 540 watching. We got 272 likes. So as we're getting out the door, please hit the like, hit the subscribe. Helps us out. Check out the NBA Hardwood show coming up next. And tomorrow, hey, there's a big $1,500 contest. I don't know if Big T's on the NBA show, but you better bring the good mojo. Maybe you'll get a ticket. Maybe you won't. It's a big tag. You're going to have to work on it. You guys have been slacking a little, so just wanted to mention that. But check it out. Coming up next, we got Holden, we got JT, and we got Title bringing you the NBA winners. Thanks a lot for joining us. For me, Mangone, Big T, and DC. See you guys later.